Is Duda good for beginners and pros? With all the different platforms out there, it's tough to make the right decision. You want to set yourself up for success, but you also want to make sure that the learning curve isn't too steep, but you also want to make sure that the platform is not going to be limiting and it's going to be able to do the things you want it to do. There's a lot of other things you want to look for in a platform too, and you want to make sure it can do those things. And so let's go over this Duda review, and I'll tell you everything you guys need to know to make the right decision. Now at the end, I have 2 tips that I know you guys are going to love, and it's going to help you make the right decision and understand what Duda can do. And then there's also a discount you can get on Duda as well. So I've built 20, 30 plus websites on Duda, and it's often my platform of choice. Now I'm a professional, but that doesn't mean that it's like a professional platform and you have to have, so much knowledge to be able to use it. It's actually one of the easier platforms I've used, which is partially why I like using it. It's able to get the job done very effectively and also efficiently, which is very important. One of the things that I love about Duda is that it's managed. So you can put websites into like 2 buckets, managed versus self-managed. A managed platform is going to be Duda, Squarespace, Webflow, Shopify, all of these types of platforms that you work on their servers and then they take care of the updates, they take care of the platform. WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, all of these open source platforms require you to download the code onto your server, and then you have to maintain the server, you have to maintain the code. Anytime WordPress updates, you have to retrieve that, bring it down to your server. And it's very costly to do all that maintenance, and you spend a lot of time managing the server, managing all of this stuff to support the website, where I prefer to just support the website. And so these managed platforms are super, super attractive. They take care of all of the updates. They provide the SSL cert. Now this does come with a downside too, the fact that it's managed, is that you don't have access, or other people, if you're not a developer, don't have access to the back-end code. And that restricts us from creating our own plugins. So WordPress is very attractive because there are probably tens of thousands of plugins that allow you to extend the functionality of WordPress. Duda doesn't have that. You solely rely on them, and they have an app store and it's growing. And there's a lot of useful stuff I use in there, but if you find yourself in a situation that you need some sort of functionality to create apps, and it's not in the App Store, then your hands are a little bit tied because you can't hire a developer, implement a plugin yourself. You can put in a feature request to them, but that takes a lot of time for them to get around to it. Now, the good news is there's certain ways around this. They have Zapier integrations, and that most functionality on websites these days are embeddable, meaning you just take some code, front-end code like JavaScript, and you embed it on the website, and it provides whatever front-end functionality you need. So it being managed is super easy to get started. You go to Duda, you sign up, you click create a website, and then they either provide you with blank templates, which I prefer. I like starting with like an absolutely blank slate so I can create a very custom website, or they have very nice pre-made templates and they're always releasing new ones. That's really great for beginners, or for, I don't want to just say like low budget projects, because I have used templates for like very nice websites before, but it does help satisfy low budget projects because with a click of a button, you have a fully built out website, and it's just a matter of changing out the content or adding in or removing some stuff. Once you are in the builder, I want to talk about the design capabilities. This is an important metric to determine if the platform is a viable platform to build websites on. I find that the builder is the best balance between capabilities and ease of use. There's easier to use builders, but you're left with like your hands being tied most of the time. And I would say Squarespace is around that area. You can customize it a little bit, but there's a lot that you can't do. And so Squarespace is a super beginner's platform, but you're gonna peak really fast on what you're able to do. Duda has a slight learning curve, but the concepts behind it are actually the same concepts you'll see amongst most website builders, where you have rows and you have columns. It's one step more customizable than just like having a pre-made section and you just change out the text. It allows you to create the section. But if you're not into that, they do have pre-made, as I said, templates, but they also have pre-made sections too. So a lot of times I will start with a blank template and then I'll add a pre-made section in there if I'm creating, like a team grid or, a numbers counter or something like that. And they already provide that for you, and you could just change out the colors to match your color scheme. So if you're an absolute beginner, I still recommend using Duda. There's a slight learning curve to it. I mean, there's gonna be a learning curve to anything. It's gonna take you just a little bit longer to build out a website if you wanna just start with a blank template. But I'm talking like you look at one Duda tutorial and you're gonna understand how the rows and the columns work. Next, I wanna talk about performance. Performance is huge. It's very important because one, users are extremely deterred if the time to load takes too long. It's usually like after 3 seconds, you start to lose 50% of your audience, which is a very important metric to hit. And because of that, Google has actually taken into account performance. And that's how they determine ranking factors, or at least it's one of the factors that plays a role in determining where your website's going to rank. So if you have a very performant website, you're going to get a boost in the rankings. Duda is the best platform for performance. When comparing it to all these other content management systems, website builders, Duda is consistently the highest. And on top of that, and tying it back into the managed piece, as there's new things that come out in the industry, Duda implements them into the platform and your website automatically gets those. So they might come up with a way to improve performance across their platform. Boom, it's updated and all your websites are automatically going to be faster. Let's talk about maintenance. I already touched on this, so I'm just gonna kind of summarize it. All in all, maintenance on Duda is virtually nothing. They take care of everything, and it allows you to focus on doing the things that matter within your business, like updating your website or adding content to it, but not actually updating the code or, dealing with server stuff. That's huge, especially if you're managing a suite of websites. It's amazing to be hands off with it. How about the cost? So WordPress, for example, is free because it's open source, but it costs to host the platform. So you have to pay for the servers, potentially the SSL certificate. On Duda, it's an all-in-one package, so you can start building for free and they don't charge you until you host your website. Hosting is very cheap. So they have different tiered plans. The higher tier plan you have, the more websites you have and the lower cost for hosting. I think if you have one website, it's around $15 a month. It depends if you're on an annual or a monthly plan. I'm on the agency tier, and plans cost $100 a year and around $10 per month. That is incredible for you getting really great hosting. By the way, they host it on AWS. You don't deal with that or anything, and they just do it for you, but those are like top tier servers, and they give you all the code. They do this all for $10 a month, $15 a month, and then they have their support. I love the support. I contact them pretty frequently. I'm often pushing the limits of the platform. I test beta features. I'm finding bugs. They're awesome. They're very kind, and they're very great at being able to resolve your issues. And if they can't resolve the issues, I want to touch on what the future of Duda holds. So it's important to not only understand how Duda is today, it's great, but where it's going tomorrow, 5 years from now, and well into the future. I think Duda is going to become the top website builder. It's going to take time for it to gain traction and pass up WordPress and these other builders, but they are on an amazing trajectory. And I say that because I've seen the platform grow the past 2 years, and a lot of the things that I didn't like about it or that were limitations, they're constantly squashing those and throwing out new features. Every time I open Duda, I feel like there's a pop-up window saying, hey, here's something new we just launched. Duda also has something called the Ideas Board, which allows its community to create ideas and then vote them up. So I constantly look in there and I vote up other ideas. If I think of something I want, I'll go in there, see if somebody already posted it, and then I'll vote it up. And then you can see their conversation on it saying, hey, this is something we're considering, or this is something that we're going to implement in the future, or this is something that we're working on right now. Having that visibility is really nice, and it really gives me the confidence that Duda's headed in the right direction. They even just acquired a e-commerce solution that they're integrating into their platform. Previously, they integrated with a third party, which has been awesome. Like I like the e-commerce solutions, but they wanted to take it a step further and actually have their own ownership in one. E-commerce is really great in Duda too. So if you have a store, I definitely recommend taking a look at Duda. I also recommend understanding limitations. You have to understand the functionality of a store because stores are unique. They might have certain things they need or don't need. So take a look at functionality before you dive headfirst into Duda e-commerce. I want to touch on an advanced piece here, which is content management. If you don't know what content management is, then that's fine. I guess Duda is a great platform for you. If you do know what content management is, you want to make sure that it has the right features to manage your content. So Duda has something called collections, which allow you to build out spreadsheet-like collections of data where you have columns of which are your fields, and then your rows, which are each individual piece of data. That works very well. You can have up to 200 rows of data, so that could be a limitation for some people. You're able to filter that data on the front end. So after you add, say, a grid of your content, you're able to say, hey, I only want content that matches the year 2020 or something along those lines. The limitation of the content management is when you do have the overview grids, you only have a couple of options to implement. So if you have a lot of custom fields and you want to bring those custom fields into your overview grid, there's only so much you can bring in, like your title, your description, your link, and an image. That's pretty much the presets that you can bring in. You can build your own widgets though, which takes a little bit more time. I'm hoping to see Duda implement more customization for overview grids on content management, but as far as like the individual pages where you can build out dynamic pages, those are super great. Couple of limitations within them, but we save a bunch of time and the websites are much more maintainable because of the content management. You might be wondering, hey, I want to see some websites before I actually dive into building on Duda. So I curated a list of the top 1% of Duda websites. So it's 60 websites. I went through 6,000 of them and I pulled out the most inspiring Duda websites. I have that linked below in the description, and you're able to go through and click on each website and check them out and get some inspiration and gain an understanding of what can be accomplished with Duda. Also linked below is a sign up link. You get 5% off if you use that link. I also get a benefit from that. If you haven't followed my channel before, I just want to let you know that all of my stuff, all of my recommendations are just like straight up what I recommend. If they have an affiliate program, I'll join it. But I do use Duda just because it is the best balance between ease of use and capabilities. And it does allow me to go into a little bit more stuff if you need to write custom CSS to extend the functionality a little bit. It's totally capable of doing that. If you're still a little bit on the fence and not sure if you want to use Duda, feel free to drop a comment or find my email on my channel page and reach out. Tell me your situation and I'll be able to help guide you in the right decision and let you know if Duda is right for you. All in all, Duda is in my top 3 favorite platforms. I have 3 platforms I go to depending on the use case. Drupal, the most complicated of them all, more for application type stuff. Webflow, the best visual builder out there. It's a little bit more intense on the visual builder side, of a steeper learning curve to get to know the Webflow interface. And then there's Duda, which is a happy medium between them all. And I build the majority of my websites on Duda. I appreciate you guys watching until the end. We'll catch you guys in the next one.